Hi everybody, this is Crystal. So today I'm going to show you how to make this baby blanket here. Now there's not a lot of room here, but I'll show you. It measures approximately 34 by 36. So that's about the size, but of course you can make it bigger if you want. Now it's made with the Rocky Road stitch, so you can see the texture on it. And the stitch looks the same on both sides. So just trying to give you a little look at the texture. And then it's got lots of ruffles for the edging. Oh, and if you want to leave those ruffles off, that's perfectly fine too. Shells and ruffles. Ruffly shells. And I think it turned out really nice. And it actually is not too hard. It's just a one row repeat actually. It's not that hard at all. As long as you got the basic understanding of single and double down, you'll probably be able to make this blanket. So let's go ahead and get started on it. Okay, for this project I am using a Lion brand, put my camera up here, Pound of Love. Now it is a medium weight for 100% premium acrylic. Now you don't have to use this yarn. You can use any type of 4-weight yarn that you want. Just make sure that is soft for baby. And there are 1,020 yards per ball here. Now this is my second ball. I went through not all of 2, but I needed 2. I didn't go through a lot of the 2, so I would say probably 12, that's a guess, probably 1,200 yards, maybe 13 of the main color. And the color that I'm using is called Creamsicle. And then I used the same brand. This is the same brand. This one is Antique White. And this was one ball here. And this is what I have left of it. So you're going to need probably 800 yards of the 750, 800 yards probably of the edging color, if you decide to put that ruffle on it. And then I'm going to be using a size I, which is a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. Now, as always, I just want to take a second to ask you to not forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you look in the lower right hand corner of the screen right now, you'll see a little red subscribe button. Now, if you're not subscribed, if you click on that button, you'll be subscribed and you won't miss any of my updates. Also, I want to remind you not to forget to check me out on Facebook. You can put your crochet items on there that you make from my videos. I'd really like to see them. The link below is in the description box. And also, if you like this blanket and you like my video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Okay, so this stitch is done in a multiple of 4 plus 3. In case you want to make your blanket bigger or smaller, or use this stitch for something else. 4 plus 3. Now, if you want to follow along with me, I chained 111 chains. So 111 is what I started out with. Okay, since I already got my big piece done, I'm going to show you on a smaller scale. But once you get your chain of 111 finished, what we're going to do is do 1 single crochet in the second stitch from the hook. Now remember, we don't count this one that's on our hook. So 1, 2, single crochet into that second stitch. Like that. Now we're going to start the repeat of the row. We are going to single crochet into the next stitch. Like that. And then we're going to work a chain of 2. And then we're going to put 2 double crochets right back into that same stitch that we just single crocheted into. So right back into that same stitch, you put 2 double crochets. Now we're going to skip 2 stitches, skip, skip, and single crochet into the next. So skip 2 and then single crochet. Now we're going to repeat it again. So we'll start by our repeat by single crocheting into the next stitch. Then we're going to chain 2. And then we're going to work 2 double crochets right into that same stitch that we just slip stitched into. Or that we just single crocheted into. I'm so sorry. And then we're going to skip 2 again. So skip, 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 single crochet into the next. Then we're going to repeat it again, what we did. So we start by single crocheting into the next stitch. And then we chain 2 and go back and double crochet right there into that same stitch that we just single crocheted into. 2 double crochets into it. Like that. Skip 2, so skip, skip, single into the next. Now we're going to repeat it again. So we start off by single crocheting into the next stitch, chain 2, and 2 doubles right back into that same stitch. And this is what we're going to repeat to the end of the row. Skip 2 and single into the next. Now we'll start again. I'll repeat, single into the next, chain 2, and 2 doubles back into that same stitch that we just singled into. Like that. And this is what it's starting to look like. So we skip 2, skip, skip, and single into the next. Then we start our repeat again, single into the next stitch, chain 2, and 2 doubles right back into that same stitch. Skip 2 and single into the next. And then we'll start our repeat again by single crocheting into the next, chain 2, 2 doubles into the same stitch, and we're just going to repeat this pattern that we've been doing until we get to the end of the row. Okay, when you make it to the end, I finished out a complete repeat. I skipped 2 here and I single crocheted into my next, and I have 1 stitch that remains. Go ahead and just end by single crocheting into that last stitch. Now you'll have 27 of these little things right here. 27, if you're following me. So now we're going to start row 2, and row 2 is the repeat row for the entire blanket. So we're going to start row 2 by chaining 1 and turning our work. And we're going to put a single crochet right here into this very first stitch. And then we're going to start our repeat by single crocheting into the next stitch, chain 2, and then 2 double crochets back into that same stitch. I apologize if my hands are a little shaky. I just drank a cup of coffee and I'm really caffeine sensitive. So just like that. Now we're going to skip all this. We're going to skip this double, skip this double, skip this chain space, and we're going to single crochet right here in this single crochet. And that will end the repeat of the row. So this goes kind of in the back of your work like that. And that makes that little texture. So we're going to start again. We're going to single crochet into this next single crochet. So single crochet into the next stitch. Chain 2. And 2 double crochets back into the same stitch. and then we skip all this here. You skip the 2 double crochets and the chain space, and we're going to single crochet right over here into this single crochet, the first one. There's 2 there, you see them? Single crochet into the first one. Kind of push this back like that, and if you flip it, you can see. So we're going to start again, single crochet into that next stitch. So the single crochet right here, get a single crochet into it, chain 2, go back into the same stitch and work 2 double crochets, and then you skip all this, the 2 doubles and the chain space, and we're going to single crochet into, see, right, if you pull this apart, you'll see there's 2 stitches there. Single crochet into that first single crochet there, pushing all that stuff to the back like that. And then we start again by single crocheting into the next stitch, and we're just repeating, chain 2, 2 double crochets back into the same stitch, we skip all this here, and there is our 2 single crochets right there. We need to single crochet into the first one, but making sure all that stuff's pushed back. So single into the first one, and that'll end the repeat. And then you start again by singling crocheting into the next stitch and repeating, chain 2, 2 doubles back in the same stitch, skip all this here and single crochet into the first single crochet over here, just like that, and then repeat. So you just repeat that pattern until you get to the end of the row, and that's what the other side starts to look like. It kind of bumps out a little bit. Okay, I'm coming to the end here, and I did my single crochet, chain 2, and 2 doubled into that stitch, and I'm at my last here. There's 2 single crochets here on the end. There's this one, and then this one, it's kind of the end of the chain there. Single crochet into that first single crochet, and then we end the row by single crocheting into our last stitch. So there it is. Flip it over, that's what it looks like. So we're just going to keep repeating row 2. So we just chain 1 and turn our work, and we're just going to repeat what we just did on the previous row. So we single crochet into the first stitch, single crochet into the next stitch, chain 2, and work 2 more doubles back into that same stitch, and then we're going to skip all this here, and then you'll see those 2 single crochets here. We're going to single crochet in the first one, pushing this one kind of back. So single crochet into that first one like that, and then single crochet into the next one, and we just repeat again by chaining 2, 2 double crochets into the same stitch, and then we skip all this. We skip the 2 doubles into the chain space and single crochet into that first single crochet, pushing all this stuff kind of back. That. Single crochet into the next stitch, chain 2, 2 doubles into the same stitch, and then we're going to skip all this, and then see those 2 singles in the middle? We just do the same thing. Single crochet into the first one, single crochet into the next one, and then we do our chain 2 and 2 doubles back into that same one. Skip all this. There's our 2 single crochets. If you have trouble seeing them, you just pull them apart there. Single crochet into the first one, single crochet into the next one, and then we chain 2 and did 2 more doubles back into that same stitch. Now we're just going to keep repeating that row 2. That's all it is. It's just repeating that. Oops. Repeating that until you get to the end of the row. When you get to the end here, you just single crochet in these last 2 stitches, chain 1 and turn, and just keep repeating. Now there is one thing though about this stitch here. These kind of tend to go their own way, so you will have to kind of like fix them at the end just a little bit so they all pop out the right way, like that. But it's easy. Not, you know, some of them will just be kind of off once you get to going. And don't worry about it if it starts to look kind of like flat and funny, because some of them pop their own way. They got a mind of their own. But at the end, you can fix it and make them pop out the right way like that. So I wouldn't worry about it too much until you get finished. And then you can kind of make them do what you want them to do. So what you want to do is you just want to keep repeating row 2, back and forth. Back and forth. Just keep doing rows of just repeating row 2, and you want to do that until you get the blanket as tall as you want it to be. Alright, you want to continue this until you get it as long as you want it to be. I made mine approximately 30 inches, and I tried to count the rows, but I think it was like 110, 112 rows. But you don't have to follow me. Just do it approximately 30 inches. Unless you want it longer, by all means, you make it as long as you want. You'll just need a little bit more yarn, you know, than when I say in the beginning. Okay, now, once you make it here, you get it as long as you want it to be. Now we're going to go along the whole piece, and we're going to line it with single crochet. We're going to clean up the edges before we put our border on. So, I didn't tie off. What I want to do after my last row is work a chain of 1. And now I'm going to work down the sides. Now it's going to be kind of hard to tell where the stitches need to go, because you're working kind of on the sides of the stitches. But I'm just going to put 1 single crochet kind of in every one of the little holes that I see. See the next one? Like that. The next one. Now, your stitches are probably not going to be the same as mine, since we're just trying our best to evenly space them out. And that's fine. The only thing you need to worry about is when you're done with this row of single crochet, after we go all the way around it, is having an even number. You need to make sure that you end in an even number. But what I'm doing is just putting 1 single crochet. I think it's at the end of every row. It's kind of hard to tell, but every one of these little spaces here at the end. And I'm going to do this all the way down this first side. And then I will meet you at the very first corner, because we're going to do something a little different in the corner. So just evenly space out your single crochets down the side here the best that you can. And I'll meet you all the way down here at the very first corner. Alright, I've made it down here to the corner. So let's see. I got 1 more stitch to go. So right here we will say is our corner stitch. Either one of these 2. It's not really that important. It's just one of those stitches. So we'll go up here, and in the corner we're going to work 4 single crochets. And this is going to help the corner to lay flat a little bit better. Like that. And now we're going to start working along the other side here, putting 1 single crochet in every stitch. now what we're doing is kind of working on, if you look, there's chain spaces and single crochets and whatnot. So again, you're just going to have to evenly space out your single crochets the best that you can. So what I'm going to do is put 2 single crochets to each one of these chain spaces, like that. And then there's like this single crochet, I think, right here. I'll put 1 into that. So that's how I'm going to evenly space mine. Oh, and 1 in this next stitch here, this little shell area. It's kind of hard to see where they need to go. But again, you don't have to do yours exactly like mine. Just evenly space them, you know. Here's my chain. I'm going to try to put 2 single crochets into that chain. It's so hard to evenly space around things whenever, you know, they look like this. I'll put 1 single crochet there and 1 there. And then I'll be at my chain again, and that's where I'll put 2 single crochets. So that's what I'm going to do down this side. Now, if you feel like you want to space it differently, that's fine. As long as, you know, it's getting evenly spaced and it's laying pretty flat and not bunching up on, or not stretching. If it's starting to ruffle a little bit, that means that there's too many stitches. But that's okay, because we're going to put a big ruffle around it anyways, and you're not even going to be able to tell if this edge is ruffling. So if it is, don't worry about that. But the one thing that you want to make sure when you're evenly spacing out your single crochets is that it doesn't start to like really stretch. That means that you don't have enough and I need to go add more to make it lay flat. I hope that makes sense. But again, I'm just going to continue evenly spacing 1 single crochet in every stitch as best as I can until I get to my next corner. And I'll meet you up there at my next corner. Once we get this round down, the rest is going to be easy breezy. I hope anyways. Can't say for sure, because sometimes you run into troubles, but I think it'll be pretty easy after this round's done here. So I'm going to meet you at the corner here in just a second. Alright, I made it up here to this next corner, and you can see this is kind of where we started. So right here in this first space, I'm going to put 4 single crochets. I'm going to try to hide that tail as I go. And now I'm going to continue working 1 single crochet in every stitch down this side. And let's see what we got. So just do your best to evenly space out your single crochets again along this side. Looks like you'll probably be able to tell one, looks like 1 at the end of each row, maybe. Just like that. So I'm going to continue the same process that we've been doing this whole time. I'm going to evenly space out my single crochets down this side. And then when I get up to the next corner, I'll put 4 single crochets in it. And then I'll continue down our last side, evenly spacing out 1 single crochet, the best that I can. And then when I make it to the end of that last side, will be where we started. And I will meet you back up at where we started. Remember to put 4 single crochets into the next corner that's coming up, and then evenly space out the rest of your single crochets. Alright, I have made it all the way back to my starting point, and I have 1 stitch left. I'm going to put 4 single crochets into that last stitch. And then we're going to end this by slip stitching into our first single crochet. Don't go into that chain 1 that's right here. Go into the very first single crochet we did. So that looks like a stitch, but it's actually the chain 1. Come right down here and single crochet. Now remember, you need to have an even number now. If you do not have an even number, just take out one of these 4. Say you have an odd number right now instead of putting 4 stitches in here, just put 3 and that'll make it an even number. It's not a big deal. But if you ended up with an even number, right on, that's cool. Otherwise, no big deal to just make that last corner have 3 stitches in it. Because like I said, the ruffle that I put on it, it's going to be super ruffly. You're not even going to be able to tell. Even if you don't want the ruffle, you're still not going to be able to tell that. Alright, so I went ahead and clipped my yarn off there. Now I'm going to bring in, I'm going to use white for my edging. So I'm going to bring that in. Alright, now I'm going to start just somewhere along the corner here. And I'm going to go around it with a row of single crochet using my white before I start doing like the ruffly stuff. Now, say you're doing this for a boy baby and you don't want it to be all ruffly. I mean, I don't think it's a big deal to have rufflies for a boy, but maybe you don't want rufflies for a boy, and that's fine. You can just do a couple rows of single crochet to edge it. That would work great too, you know, and like you can use the same color of this or use the white. Otherwise, I'm going to do some ruffles. So I'm going to go ahead and just start anywhere, kind of around where you ended. Chain 1, go back into that same stitch, single crochet, and now I'm just going to work 1 single crochet in every stitch. I'm not doing anything special around the corners. Just the same 1 single crochet in every stitch. So no extras around the corners. And I'm going to do this all the way around my entire piece. Working 1 single crochet in every stitch with my border collar. Maybe. Oh, I got my tail. So I'm just going to continue working 1 single crochet all around my entire blanket. Remember, there's nothing special being done at the corners. We're just putting 1 single crochet in every stitch on the corner. And I'm going to do this all the way around until I get back right here to where I started. Alright, I've made it all the way around with my white trim and I'm back to my starting point. So I'm going to go ahead and end with the slip stitch into my first single crochet. You still should have the same number of stitches that you did on the previous row of single crochet. So it needs to be that even number. So we're going to chain 1. We're going to go right back into that same stitch and single crochet. Like that. Then we're going to chain 3, go in directly into the next stitch and single crochet. Chain 3, go into the next stitch and single crochet. And that's what we're going to repeat all the way around. Chain 3, single crochet right into the next stitch, so we're not skipping any stitches. Chain 3, single into the next. We're just going to keep repeating that. So it's chain 3, single crochet into the next. Chain 3, and single crochet into the next. Now it's going to start to get really probably wavy. And that's what you want though. You want it to get all roughly. So you're not doing anything wrong if it starts to look all bunched up and stuff. So it's going to look like that. So we're just going to go ahead and repeat that pattern all the way around the entire blanket. Chain 3. Single into the next, chain 3, single into the next, just like that. See how mine's getting all roughly? That's what we want. Alright, I have made it to the end of my row of first row of ruffles here. So I single crocheted there into my last stitch. Now I'll show you what we're going to do to continue doing the ruffles. So I'm going to do a chain of 1. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to half double crochet into this next chain space. So I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to go right through the chain space and half double crochet, just like that. So now I'm going to start again by chaining 1. I'm going to go back into this same chain space right here and single crochet. And then I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to single crochet into the next chain space. And then I'm going to chain 3 and single crochet into the next chain space. And this is what I'm going to do all the way around. Chain 3, single crochet into the next chain space, chain 3, single into the next chain space. So I'm just going to repeat this pattern all the way around until I get back to my starting point. And it's going to kind of continue to ruffle up a bit. So chain 3, single crochet into your next chain space. Make sure you get your next chain space because they're chain 3, they're pretty like cramped together, so I always kind of just pull them apart to make sure I'm getting the right one. Single crochet, chain 3, find my next chain space, go right through it, chain or single crochet, and then chain 3, next chain space, go right through it, single crochet, and chain 3. And I'm going to repeat this pattern all the way around until I get back right over here to my starting point. Alrighty, I'm coming to the end of row 2 of the ruffles. So I did my single crochet into that last chain space. I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to half double right over here into the next chain space here of the beginning of the row. Half double crochet. Like that. And I'm going to repeat it again. So I'm going to chain 1, go back into this chain space right here, single crochet, then I'm going to chain 3, single crochet into the next chain space, chain 3, single into the next chain space, chain 3. So I'm just repeating what I did on the previous row. Chain 3, single into the next chain space, chain 3, single into the next chain space, all the way around until we make it right back here to where we started. Alright, I made it round on my 3rd round of ruffles. Now, you can continue doing that round for as long as you want your ruffles to be. I know some baby blankets have them really, really long and it's really pretty. But I'm going to go ahead and stop here and add some shells to finish it off. So I went ahead and I single crocheted there in my last chain. And here, up here is our starting chain. So we're just going to finish it off like normal. We're going to chain 1 and then we're going to half double crochet into this first chain space. Like that. So we're going to start right here in this chain space here. We're going to chain 1 and we're going to go back into it and single crochet. Now I'm going to jump to this next chain space and I'm going to work a shell. Now the shell is going to be 9 double crochets into the same chain space. So it's a big old shell. Then I'm going to jump to the next chain space and I'm going to single crochet. Like that. Then I'm going to jump to the next chain space and work a shell. So it'll be 9 double crochets. And then single into the next chain space. And that's what I'm going to repeat all the way around. Jump to the next chain space and work my shell, which is the 9 double crochets. And then I'm going to jump to my next chain space and work a single crochet. So I'm going to repeat this pattern all the way around the whole blanket. Shell into the next chain space and then single crochet into the next. Shell, single crochet, shell, single crochet, all the way around until you get back to your starting point. All right. I have made it to the end of that row with the shells. I did a shell into that last chain space, and how we're going to end is by slip stitching right there into our very first single crochet. And then we can go ahead and tie that off, and I'm not going to lie, I am glad that round is over. That was a never-ending round for me. That took a long time to do that. It did for me anyways. So that's it. Now, blanket is finished after you hide that tail. Now, what you can do, like I said earlier, let me get it to where it's facing right. It's really roughly. I think it turned out really nice. If you just want to go through, sometimes you might have to pop out these little stitches just to make them pop out right. Sometimes they turn out right, but every once in a while you might have to go through and kind of just straighten them up. See, like right here. That one's supposed to be popped in and that one's supposed to be popped out. But most of them turned out pretty good. Just got to straighten them a little bit. They just get tangled up within each other, like we talked about. So, but that's it. That's all there is to it. I think it turned out really nice. It's just, I got to hide some tails. Really roughly. I like it. It's cute. I don't have anybody to give it to, but I'll find somebody to donate it to, that's for sure. But that's it. I hope you enjoyed my tutorial. Don't forget to check out all the tutorials on my channel. I have hundreds and hundreds of tutorials. Surely, I bet you'll find something there that you like and want to make. And also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. If you look up in the left-hand corner right now, you'll see a picture of my face. If you just go ahead and click on my face, you'll automatically be subscribed. And then you'll never miss any of my updates. And that's it. So, thanks everybody for watching. Have a good night. Hi everybody, this is Crystal. So today I'm going to show you how to make this baby blanket here. It's not really a hard blanket. You can see, it turned out very pretty with this color yarn. Now it is a smaller blanket, like a newborn size blanket, but you can make it bigger if you want. It measures approximately 28 inches by 32 inches. But I'll give you the multiple in case you want to make it bigger. I did not put an edge on it, as you can see. If you choose to put you can always do a single crochet edge, or you could put some type of fancy edge on it. I just left it alone. I thought it looked just fine the way that it was. So, I'm just leaving it like that. So, it's a pretty easy blanket. I think it'd be great for a beginner, as long as you know how to do the basic stitches, such as chain, single, and double. If you got that down, you'll be able to make this beautiful blanket. So, let's go ahead and get started on it. Okay, for this project, I am using Caron Skinny Cakes. Now, these are available only at Michael's. I bought mine online at Michael's. I'm not sure if they're in stores or not. You do not have to use this yarn, though. But what it is a lightweight number 3, and it is a very lightweight number 3. It's very similar to mandala yarn. And it is a 100% acrylic yarn. There's 8.8 ounces and 795 yards. I used every bit of one cake. There was probably like a foot left. So you're going to need about 795 yards. And if you want to make it bigger, you'll need, of course, you're going to need more. The color I use is called Rainbow. Remember, you don't have to use this. Any lightweight 3 yarn will work. Any 4-weight yarn will work. It'll just, if you use a 4-weight, it'll just make your blanket a little bit bigger. Okay, and then I'm going to be using a size H, which is a 5mm crochet hook. And again, if you want to make your blanket a little bit bigger, you can always use a bigger hook, like an I or a J. Will make your project a little bit bigger. Otherwise, I use the 5mm size H. So this stitch is done in a multiple of 4 plus 2, which means your chain, beginning chain, needs to be divisible by 4. And then you add 2 more to it. So following along with me, I started out with a chain of 150 stitches. I'm going to show you on a smaller scale. But once you get your chain of 150 stitches, or your chain of 150 done, what we're going to do is put a single crochet in the second stitch from the hook. Remember, we don't count the one that's on our hook. So you single crochet in the second stitch. Now we're going to start the repeat of row 1 by doing a chain of 3. 1, 2, 3. And now we're going to skip 3. 1, 2, 3, and single crochet into the next. And that's what we're going to repeat for the whole row 1. So again, we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3, skip 3. 1, 2, 3, and single into the next. Again, chain 3. 1, 2, 3, skip 3. 1, 2, 3, and single into the next. And we're going to repeat this pattern until we get to the end of row 1. Chain 3, skip 3, single into the next. Chain 3, skip 3, and single into the next. So go ahead and repeat that until you get to the end of your row. Alrighty, once you make it to the end, you should have 4 stitches left there. So we're just going to finish out our repeat by chaining 3, skipping 3, and single crocheting into the last stitch. And you should have a total now at the end of row 1 of 37 of these chain 3 spaces. Okay, and now we're going to start row 2. Now row 2 and 3 are the repeat rows for the whole blanket. So row 2, we are going to chain 1 and turn our work. And now we are going to put a double crochet into that very first stitch right there, the very first one. We're going to go ahead and double crochet right into that, just like that. And now we're going to put 3 double crochets right through this next chain 3 space. So go right through it and work 3 doubles. So there's 1, 2, and 3. And now we are going to start the repeat. And what we're going to do is we're just going to skip this single crochet right here. And we're going to put 3 double crochets into this chain space right here. So the next chain space gets 3 double crochets. Again, skip this single crochet and into the next chain space, 3 double crochets. And that's what we're going to repeat until we get to the end of row 2. We're just basically putting 3 double crochets in each of the chain three spaces from the previous round. Again, skip that single and 3 into the next. And we're going to do this until we get to the end of the row. Okay, when you come to the end, I put 3 double crochets into that last chain space, and now I'm going to end row 2 by putting a double crochet into the last stitch. Now what you'll have at the end of row 2 is you'll have 37 sets of 3 double crochet. 37 sets, and then you'll have 1 double crochet on each end. So row 3, what we're going to do is chain 1 and turn our work, and we're going to put a single crochet into this very first stitch here, very first double crochet. Now we're going to start our repeat by chaining 3, and we are going to skip 3 stitches. So we're skipping these 3 doubles, and we are going to single crochet in this space right here between these 2 sets of 3 double crochet. So I'm going right in between here, and I'm going to put a single crochet. Again, I'm going to chain 3. I'm going to skip 3 and single crochet in that space between these 2 sets of 3 double crochet. So I'm skipping these 3, and then right here in this space, single crochet. Again, chain 3, skip 3, and single crochet right here in this space. And this is what we're going to repeat until we get to the end of the row. Chain 3, skip these 3, and single crochet right here into this space between the 2 sets of 3 double crochets. And I'm going to repeat that pattern until I get to the end of the row. Alrighty, I'm coming to the end. I just did my last single crochet in between these last 2 sets of 3 double crochet, so I'm going to chain 3 and single crochet into the top of that very last stitch from the previous row. And at the end of row 3, you'll have 37 chain spaces again. So now what we're going to do is we're going to keep repeating rows 2 and 3 until we get it the length that we want it to be. So for row 4, we're just going to repeat what we did on row 2. That's where we chain 1 and return, and we put a double crochet into the very first stitch, and then we work 3 double crochets in the chain 3 space. And we work 3 double crochets into every chain 3 space until we get to the end of the row. It's a pretty easy pattern once you get the hang of it. You always skip that single crochet and go to the chain space and work 3 double crochets. And when you get to the end, you'll have 37 sets of 3 double crochet. So I'm just going to repeat rows 2 and 3. One row you make the chain spaces, and one row you do the double crochet sets. And I'm going to keep repeating rows 2 and 3, like I said, until I get the blanket as wide as I want it to be, or as tall as I want it to be. Alright, I have done a total of 90 rows. So I ended in a row of where I did the double crochets. And then I tied off. As I said in the beginning, I'm not going to go around the edges and put any type of border on it. You definitely can if you want. If you want to do a single crochet border all around, that would be fine. Any type of fancy border if you knew of any. I think I'm just going to leave my plain since it's so colorful. The yarn that I chose has so much going for it that I'm not going to I'm not going to do any special fancy edge. I'm just going to leave it the way it is because I think the yarn, since me using the rainbow yarn, is just, it's plenty busy. So having this to plain edge is fine with me. But remember, you can choose any type of edge that you want, or you can leave it plain, just like me. And that is it. That's all there is to it. I think the colors are really pretty. I think it turned out really nice. So, if you make this or anything else from any of my tutorials, remember to check them out. I have over 600 of them, hundreds of them. You can always post a picture on my Facebook page. I'd really, really love to see it. There's a link to that below in the description box. Also, don't forget to hit me up on Instagram. I do post different pictures and stuff on there sometimes of what's going on. And if you are interested in any more baby blankets, if you look over there to the right hand side of the screen right now, I'm going to put a playlist there of all my other baby blankets in case you maybe want to take a peek at that. Maybe you'll find another one that you're interested in and want to make. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and as always, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any videos that I put on. Thanks everybody for watching. Have a good day. And don't forget to subscribe to Bagoday Crochet. You can subscribe by clicking this red button right here. And don't forget to click this little bell right there next to it. That way you'll always be notified whenever Bagoday puts on a new video. Hi everybody, this is Crystal. So today I'm going to show you how to crochet a baby blanket here. This is what it looks like here up close. It's got bobbles and post stitches. It's not really that hard as long as you're familiar with making bobbles and, you know, the post stitches. I probably consider it intermediate pattern, but if you know how to do those, then sure you can do it. Now it measures approximately 36 by 42 inches. Now I was going to put a white border on it, but I decided not to at the end. I just kind of like the clean green straight color, but you're more than welcome to add a border or something to it at the end. But let's go ahead and get started on this. Okay, for this project I am using Lion Brand Feels Like Butter yarn, and this is the bonus bundle. It's the bigger skeins that I've used. They're 9.7 ounces, 275 grams, where there's 590 yards per skein. It is a medium weight number 4, and it is a 100% polyester yarn. It's very soft. It's a pretty nice yarn. The color that I used is called Mint. Now you don't have to use this yarn. Any medium 4-weight yarn will work. Now I used almost all of my 3 skeins. I don't have much left. So there's 590 yards per skein. So you're gonna, if you don't use this yarn, you're gonna need, let's just say, probably about 1,700 to 1,750 yards to finish this project of any medium 4-weight yarn. And then I'm going to be using a size J, which is a 6mm crochet hook. Now I'm going to show you on a smaller scale because I got my big piece done. But what you want to do is you want to start off with a chain of 112 stitches. Okay, now once you get your chain of 112, you want to do a single crochet in the second stitch from the hook. Now remember, we don't count the one that's on our hook. So the second one, you put a single crochet in. And now all you want to do for row 1 here is work 1 single crochet in every stitch for the length of the chain. Just like this. So 1 single in every stitch until you get to the end of the row. Alright, once you make it to the end of row 1, you should have a total of 111 stitches. Now rows 2, 3, 4, and 5 are the repeat rows for the whole blanket. So it is a 4-row repeat. So we're going to start row 2 by chaining 1 and turning our work. Now we want to put a double crochet right there in that very first stitch. And then I'm going to put 1 double crochet in every stitch until I get to the end of row 2. Just like that. 1 double every stitch all the way to the end of the row. Alright, once you make it to the end of row 2, you still should have 111 stitches. Okay, for row 3, we are going to chain 1 and turn our work. Now we're going to put a double crochet into the very first stitch. And now we will start our repeat for row 3. We're going to start off by putting a back post double crochet into the next stitch. So we're going to yarn over, we're going to go around the stitch from the back side like that around the post. And then we'll go ahead and do a double crochet as like normal. And then we'll put 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. So right in the top of the next stitch, just do a regular double crochet. And in the top of the next one, regular double crochet. And then we're going to repeat that again. So we're going to put a back post double crochet around the post of the next stitch. So go ahead and yarn over, go around from the back side around the post. That way the post is on the back of your hook like that. And then go ahead and do your double crochet like normal. And then we're going to put 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. There's 1, go to the next one, and there's 2. Now we're going to repeat that again. So we're going to do a back post double crochet into the next stitch around the post of it, and then 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. So we're going to repeat that pattern all the way until we get to the last 2 stitches of our row. Back post double crochet and then 1 double crochet in each of the next 2. Back post double and then 1 double crochet in each of the next 2, all the way until you get to your last 2 stitches. Alright, I've reached my last 2 stitches. I'm going to go ahead and do a back post double crochet around the next stitch. And then I'm going to end by putting a double crochet into the top of the last stitch. And that'll end row 3, and you still should have 111 stitches. Row 4, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. And when you turn, you'll be able to see your post stitches that you just made. Now, row 4 is very similar to row 3, except for we're going to be doing front post stitches instead of back post. So we're going to go ahead and start off with a double crochet into this very first stitch. And now we will start the repeat of row 4 by putting a front post double crochet around the next stitch. So yarn over and go around the post of the next stitch just like that to where it's on the front of your hook this time. And then go ahead and do your double crochet. And then I'm going to put 1 double crochet into the next 2 stitches. So there's 1 and 2. And then I'm just going to repeat that. So now we're going to do a front post double crochet around the post of the next stitch. So all we're doing, we're kind of just keeping our posts lined up. And then we're going to put a double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. Now we're going to repeat it again. Front post double crochet around the post of the next stitch. And then we're going to put a double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. And that's what we're going to repeat now for row 4. We're going to put front post double crochet and then 1 double crochet into the next 2. Front post double crochet and 1 double into the next 2, and you can see it keeps your post stitches lined up. And we're going to do that, repeat that until we get to our last 2 stitches of the row. Alright, I've made it to my last 2 stitches, so I'm going to go ahead and put a front post double crochet into the next. And I'm going to end by putting a 1 double crochet into the top of the last stitch. That'll end a row 4, and you still should have 111 stitches. Row 5 is the bobble stitch row, so we are going to chain 1 and turn our work. We're going to start by putting a single crochet into the very first stitch, and then we're going to do a bobble into the next. Now this is how we're going to do a bobble. We're going to yarn over, go into the next stitch, and draw up a loop. Then we're going to yarn over and go through the first 2 loops on our hook. Now we want to do that 5 times total, so that would be number 1. We're going to yarn over, go into the same stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2 loops on your hook. That's 2 times. Yarn over, go into the same stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2 loops on your hook. That's 3 times. Again, yarn over, go in the same stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2 loops. That's 4 times. One more time, we're going to yarn over, go into the same stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2 loops. You should have 6 loops that remain on your hook. Yarn over, go through all 6 loops, give it a nice tug, and single crochet directly into the next stitch. Now you work the bobbles on the back side of your work, so when you turn it over, they are on the front, the same side as your post stitches. So we're going to kind of repeat that now all the way to the end of the row. So we're going to do a bobble into the next stitch. So again, yarn over, go into the next stitch and draw up a loop. Yarn over, go through the first 2 loops on your hook. You want to do that 5 times, so that would be number 1. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6 loops that remain. Yarn over, go through all 6, give it a tug, and single crochet into the next stitch. And then we repeat it again. Bobble into the next stitch. Six loops on your hook, yarn over, go through all 6, give it a tug, and single into the next. So that's what we're going to repeat now for row 5. Bobble, single, bobble, single, bobble, single, all the way until you get to the end of the row. Okay, I'm coming to the end of row 5. I just did a bobble stitch and I have 1 stitch left. I'm going to go ahead and single crochet into that last stitch. And now you still should have 111 stitches. That's counting every bobble and every single crochet. And now it's just a repeat of rows 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now we're going to go ahead and chain 1 and turn to the front side of our work. And now we are just going to, this is where we just put 1 double crochet in every stitch. So we're going to go ahead and put double crochet into that very first stitch. And it's just 1 double crochet in every stitch across. We're just repeating what we did for row 2. So 1 double in the top of every bobble, and in every single crochet that's between the bobbles. So 1 double in every stitch until you get to the end of the row. So we're repeating rows 2, 3, 4, and 5. And you'll always have 111 stitches at the end of every single row. And you want to do this until you get your blanket the length that you want it to be. Now, if you want to follow me, you want to do this until you get a total of 88 rows. And that is counting that very first row of single crochet. So 88 counting that one. Like right now we're on row 6. So continue repeating 2 through 5 until you get a total of 88 rows. Okay, now once you get your 88 rows done, now remember you can do more if you want. That's completely up to you. But I stopped at 88. And now don't tie off. What I'm going to do now is go around the whole piece with single crochet to clean up all the edges. It's going to be kind of hard really to tell where your single crochets need to go here, and that's okay. You just need to do your best to kind of evenly space out your single crochets. So because the amount that you have may not be the same amount as me, and when you get back to the beginning, and that's fine. It doesn't have to be, as long as you do your best to evenly space them out. So I'm going to go ahead and start by chaining 1. So what I usually do is I try to put 2 single crochets to wherever there's a double crochet. So right here there's a double, so I'm just going to go right in that space, and I'm going to put 2 single crochets. And then right here is a double, so I'm going to put 2 double crochets. I'll put 1 in that little spot and 1 in that spot. And then right here is a double, so I'm going to put 2 single crochets there. And then right here is a single crochet here on the end from this bobble stitch row, so I'm just going to put 1 single crochet in that spot. See, it's not going to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just do your best you can. So now I'm back to where there is a double crochet. So I'm going to go ahead and work 2 single crochets around that double. And then this is a double crochet right here. I'm going to work 2 into that. I like to go into the top part of it. And then kind of the bottom part of the double. And then you got this double here, so I'm going to put 1 single crochet there and 1 single crochet there, like that. And then right here we are where there's a single crochet on the end, so just going to put 1 single crochet there. And I'm going to do this all the way down until I get to my first corner. So 2 single crochets here on the side of this double. So there's 1, 2, 2 right here into this double. So I kind of go right here, right here, 2 into this double. And then on this bobble row, there's a single crochet right there. Go right into that. So I'm just going to keep doing this. I'm just going to do my best to evenly space out my stitches. Remember, you may not have the same count as I do at the end, and that's fine. Your count doesn't really matter. Just as long as you do your best to kind of clean up the edges and space them out as evenly as possible. So I'm going to go all the way down this first side, and I'll meet back up with you right here at this very first corner, and then we'll round that. All right, I've made it down here to the corner, and you can see I did 2 single crochets in that last double. Now there's 1 stitch here that's from the very first row of single crochet. Go ahead and put 1 single crochet in that, and then we got to work this row at the top. Now this very first stitch here, I'm going to put 3 single crochets in it just to kind of help the corner lay down a little bit flatter. Now remember, yours doesn't have to be, you know, if you don't get the same amount of stitches, please don't worry about it. And now I'm just going to continue by working 1 single crochet across. You should be able to see these stitches a little better here on the bottom of the blanket. But 1 single crochet in every stitch across until I get to my next corner. So all we're doing now is just cleaning up these edges. Just trying to make them a little bit more presentable. Like that. See that? Makes it look a lot cleaner. So I'm going to go ahead and continue working across the bottom here. 1 single crochet in every stitch. And I'll meet back up with you when we get right over here to this corner. Alright, I've made it across here to my next corner. And I'm just going to do the same thing here. I'm going to put 3 single crochets here in my last corner. And that just helps round that out a little bit. Helps the corners lay flat. And now we're going to be working up the long side again, and that's where it's really hard to see your stitches. So you just kind of do your best to put like 2 single crochets to every double crochet. You know, it's hard to see, but just do the best you can. That's all you can do. Oh yeah, this side leaves them a little bit harder to see than the other one. And then when you get up to the bobble stitch row, there'll be 1 single crochet there that you need to go into. Yeah, that's this side's even more difficult than the other one. But we'll get it together. Just kind of spacing them out 1 stitch at a time. Trying to hide that tail as I go also. So just like that. So just continue working up the long side, evenly spacing out your stitches the best you can until you get right up here to the next corner. And I'll meet you right up there. Alrighty, I made it up to my next corner. And again, I'm going to put 3 single crochets right up here in this first corner stitch to go along the top of my blanket. So 3 singles. And now I'm going to work across the top, putting 1 single crochet in every stitch. Now you should be able to see your stitches pretty well now, since we're working on the top of the blanket. Yeah, you'll be able to see those stitches. So I'm just going to continue working 1 single crochet in every stitch until I get back to my starting point. So this is the last side that we have to clean up here with these single crochets. Okay, I have made it back to my starting point. What I'm going to do is put 3 single crochets into my very last stitch, and that will help round this very last corner out. And then what I'm going to do is end by slip stitching into my first single crochet over here on this side. So not the chain 1, which is kind of right here, but the very first single crochet. And remember, I just want to stress, it doesn't have to be exact. It doesn't have to be perfect, because when you're dealing with going down the sides of these double crochets, it's extremely hard to see the stitches, and I know that. So now what I'm going to do is clip this yarn off real quick, and I'm going to hide any remaining tails. Now I'm not even going to count the number of stitches I have all the way around, because it doesn't matter how many stitches you have at this point, okay? So because yours might be different than mine, and that's okay. So just go ahead and tie that off and hide that tail. All right, now once you get that all your tails hidden, I was going to put a white border around mine, but I actually think I'm just going to leave it so it looks a little bit more unisex. You know, you can use it for boy or girl. So I think it looks pretty good the way that it is, actually. But if you wanted to put a white border around it, you definitely could. You could get some white and you could go around it in single crochet, ruffles, or whatever you wanted to do. But I actually changed my mind on the white border. I think it looks pretty good the way it is. So I'm going to leave mine be right now and just let it go. I think I like it the way it is. So that's it. Thanks everybody for watching. I'm sorry that you can't get a very big. I'll put a picture here at the, see a picture at the beginning there you saw. But that's what it looks like. I like it and it's super soft. And I think leaving the white border off works the best for me. But remember, if you want to put some single crochets around it for just to doll it up in some white or whatever color you want, you by all means can do that. But thanks everybody for watching. I always appreciate your support in my channel. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoy it. And also don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already and hit that notification bell. If you look over on the right hand side of the screen right now, you'll see a playlist of all my other baby blankets. In case you're interested, maybe you're on a baby blanket making kick, I got a few there you might enjoy. Thanks everybody. Have a good day. Hi everybody, this is Crystal. So today I'm going to show you how to make this baby blanket here. Very easy, just a 1 row repeat. Now that's what I like, huh? Just easy 1 row repeats. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the size of it here. It's about 29 by 38. Of course, you can adjust the length of the chain. But like I said, super easy. Let's go ahead and get started on it. Okay, for this project, I used Karatopu Lala Baby. This comes from Hobium. Of course, you don't have to use this yarn. It is a 100% acrylic, and it is a medium weight number 4. Now, sometimes on their site, I'm not certain what it says on their site that it is. Sometimes it'll say like it's a 2 weight or a 3 weight. It's not. This one is a number 4 weight yarn. So, like I said, you don't have to use this yarn. Any medium 4 weight yarn will work. But if you do want to use this yarn, the color is H2394. They got a lot of pretty colors to choose from. There are 306 yards per skein. And I went through, I'm going to say you're going to need about 1,100 yards to finish this. Approximately 1,100 yards of 4 weight yarn to make it the size that I am. Remember, that's just approximate. And then I'm going to be using a size I, which is a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. Now, whenever you do your starting chain, the starting chain that you do is the length of the blanket. So you work it where the lines are horizontal like this. You work it back and forth to where the lines are horizontally made. So your starting chain is the length that your baby blanket's going to be. But then when you're done, you flip it to where they're vertical. At least that's what I did. You don't have to do that, but that's the way I designed mine to do. So I started, if you want to follow along with me and make it my size, I started with a chain of 127. You can do this in any odd number of chains. So if you want to make it bigger or smaller, but do remember, if you're doing it like me, the length of your chain is the length of the blanket. It's not the width. But following along with me, we start with a chain of 127 chains. All right, now once you get your 127 chains made, what we're going to do is we're going to be working in the second stitch from the hook. Now in the second stitch, I'm going to work a single crochet and a double crochet in the same stitch. Like that. And then I'm going to skip one stitch and I'm going to do that again. I'm going to skip one and I'm going to work a single crochet and a double crochet in the same stitch. Skip one, and in the next stitch I do it again. One single crochet and one double crochet in the same stitch. Skip one, one single crochet, one double crochet in the same stitch. So that's the pattern I'm going to repeat for row 1. Skip one, and in the next stitch I work one single and a double into the same stitch. Again, skip one, work a single and a double into the same stitch. So I'm going to repeat this pattern all the way until I get to the end of the row. Okay, I've come to the end of the row and I did a single and a double into that stitch, and we have one stitch left. Go ahead and put a single crochet into that last stitch, and that'll end a row 1, and you should have 127 stitches. So row 2 is the repeat row for the whole pattern. So we are going to chain 1, which does not count as a stitch, and we're going to turn our work. Now right here in this very first stitch, the single crochet that we just finished in is what we're going to work in. And we are going to work a single crochet and a double crochet into that same stitch. And now we're going to skip the next stitch, and in the next stitch, which is actually a single crochet, so we're skipping this double and working in the single, we're going to work a single crochet and a double crochet in the same stitch. Again, we're going to skip one, and in the next stitch, which is a single crochet, we're going to work a single crochet and a double crochet. Again, skip one, the next stitch, single crochet and a double crochet. So we're skipping one stitch, and every time we skip a stitch, we're actually working in the single crochet from the previous row, and that's what you want to do every time. So skip one, and in the next one we work a single and a double, and that's what we're going to repeat until we get to the end of the row. Skip one, and in the next one, single and a double. Now how easy is that? It really makes a cool little pattern. So I'm going to repeat that pattern until I get to the end of the row. Alright, I am coming to the end of row 2. I did a single and a double, and then I have 2 stitches left. I'm going to skip one, and in the last stitch I'm going to put a single crochet. And you should have a total of 127 stitches still. So that's it. That's what we're going to repeat now, is row 2. So again, for row 3, we're just going to repeat row 2, chain 1 and turn. In the very first single crochet here, we work a single crochet and a double crochet. Skip one, and in the next stitch we work a single crochet and a double crochet. Skip one, and the next one, single crochet and a double crochet, and then we repeat. Skip one, and the next you work your single and your double. Repeat it till you get to the end of the row, and when you get to the end of the row down here, you will skip one stitch and single crochet into the last. So that's it. We're just going to keep repeating row 2, back and forth, and you always have 127 stitches at the end of every row, and this is what it'll start to look like. Alright, I have done a total of 84 rows. You can definitely make yours bigger if you want to. That's completely fine. Okay, so don't tie off at the end of your 84th row, or if you decide to do more, just however many rows you do not tie off at the end of it. Now we're going to go around it and clean up the edge. So what we're going to do is chain 1. Now we're going to try to evenly space out single crochets the best that we can. So I'm going to go back into this first stitch here and single crochet, and then in this spot right here I'm going to put 2 single crochets. Remember, I'm just doing the best I can to evenly space them out. And then right here at this spot will be 1 single crochet, and then at this spot here I will put 2 single crochets. One single into that spot, and then 2 into that spot. 1 single into that spot, and then 2 into that spot. And that's what I'm going to repeat all the way down this first side. And I'll meet back up with you at the end when we get down here to our first corner, and I'll show you how to round that corner. So just keep doing the 2 single crochets into this spot, and then 1 right there into that spot. Or if you find a better way to evenly space them out, it doesn't have to be exactly like mine. Just do the best that you can. Just like that. Okay, now when you make it to the corner up here, we want to go ahead and put 3 single crochets into the corner, and that just helps the corner round out a little bit better. And then we'll kind of continue across the bottom, evenly spacing out, working 1 single crochet in every stitch. Do the best that you can just to evenly space them. So just like this, all the way across the bottom, and I will meet back up with you when we get to the next corner. Just like that. So you can see how nicely the single crochet makes the edges look a lot nicer. So I'm going to continue all the way across here until we get right over here to this corner. Alright, I've made it to my next corner here, and I'm going to go ahead and put 3 single crochets into that corner here, all into the same stitch. And then I'm going to start working along this other side, evenly spacing out my single crochets. So in this spot here, I'm going to put 2 single crochets into that little spot. And then this spot will get 1. And then 2 right here into this spot. So it's kind of similar to the other side that we just did. And then 1 right here into this spot. 2 into the next spot. And then 1 right there into that spot. And I'm just going to repeat this pattern all the way up this side until we get to the next corner. And that is where I will meet up with you. Alright, I made it up here to the corner again, So I'm going to go ahead and put 3 single crochets into that corner stitch up here. And now I'm going to be working across the last row. You'll probably be able to see the stitches pretty good on this row where they need to go. Just 1 single crochet in each one of these stitches until we get back to our starting point. Alright, when you make it back to your starting point, you want to go ahead and put 3 single crochets into your last stitch, like that. And then we're going to end by slip stitching into our first single crochet that's over here on this side. So not the chain one, but the first single crochet, like that. And then we can tie this off, and we can hide the tail. Alright, that's it. Once you get your tails hidden, it's finished. That's all there is to it. I think it turned out super, super cute. Adorable. So, if you like this, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. I really appreciate it. Give it a share. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. That way you don't ever miss out. And hit that bell, notification bell. That way you don't miss out any of my tutorials or anything else that I do on my channel. And until next time, as always, have a good day. Hi everybody, this is Krista. So today I'm going to show you how to make this baby blanket here. It's actually a really easy stitch. You just need to know how to single, half double, and double. But it makes a nice little tiny shell pattern. I think it turned out really nice. So the approximate size of this blanket is 32 by 36 inches. So 32 inches by 36 inches. Of course, I'll tell you how to adjust the length of your chain so you can make it bigger if you'd like, or smaller. That's kind of what it looks like. Great gift for baby shower or anything, actually. Just a cute little baby blanket. So let's go ahead and get started on this. Okay, for this project, I am using Kartopu Lullababy. This comes from Hobium. It's a medium weight number 4, 100% acrylic yarn. Now, you don't have to use this yarn. Any medium weight number 4 will work just fine. Now, there's 306 yards per skein, and I went through 4 of them. So you're just going to need just a little bit over 1,200 yards. You know, not much. The color, in case you're interested, is H2301. But like I said, you can use any 4-weight yarn that you'd like. And then I'm going to be using a size I, which is a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. Alright, now this stitch is done in a multiple of 3 plus 2, in case you want to make yours bigger or smaller. But if you want to follow along with me, you need to start with a chain of 116 stitches. So once you get your chain of 116, what we're going to do is single crochet in the second stitch from the hook. Now remember, we don't count the one that's on our chain. So in the second hook there, or second stitch, I'm sorry, go ahead and do a single crochet. And then I'm going to work 1 single crochet in every stitch for the length of the chain. So row 1 is just 1 single crochet in every stitch until you get to the end of the row. Alright, when you make it to the end of the row, you should have a total of 115 stitches. Now I'm showing you on a smaller scale, but following along with me, you'll have a total of 115. Now for row 2, we are going to work a chain of 2, and then we're going to turn our work. And now we're going to be working a shell stitches. Now working in this very first stitch here, the very first one, we did the chain 2 and we're going to work in the same stitch. We're going to work a shell. So the shell consists of, in the same stitch, we work 1 single crochet, 1 half double crochet, and then 1 double crochet. All that goes into that very first stitch, just like that. And now we are going to skip 2 stitches and we're going to shell into the next. So we skip, and in the next one we're going to do a shell. So we're going to work a single crochet, a half double into the same stitch, and a double into the same stitch. So that's our shell. And that's what we're going to repeat for a row 2. Skip 2 stitches, so skip, and into the next one we work a shell. We single crochet, half double crochet, and double, all into the same stitch. And I'm going to repeat this pattern until I get to the end of the row. So skip 2, skip, and in the next we shell. Single crochet, half double crochet, oops, and double crochet, all into the same stitch. One more time I'll show you. You skip 2, skip, and in the next you shell. Single, half double, and double, all into the same stitch. So we're going to repeat that pattern of skipping 2 and then shell, skipping 2 and shell, all the way until we get to the end of row 2. Alright, I'm coming to the end of the row. I just did a shell and I have 3 stitches left. I'm going to skip 2 and I'm going to single crochet into my last stitch. And that'll end row 2. And you should have a total of 38 shells. So for row 3 is actually the repeat row for the rest of the blanket. So it's just a 1 row repeat. It's really easy once you get the hang of it. So row 3, we are going to chain 2 and turn our work. Now back into this very first stitch here, we're going to work a shell. We're going to go right into it, the very first one, and we're going to do a single crochet, a half double crochet, and a double crochet, like that. Now we are going to skip 2 stitches, skip, and in the next stitch, which is actually the single crochet of the next shell, we're going to shell into it. So we're going to go right into that stitch and we're going to single crochet, half double crochet, and double crochet. Again, we'll skip 2 stitches of this shell, so skip, and in that single crochet of the shell from the previous row, we work another shell. So we go right into it and we single, half double, and double. And this is where we're going to repeat now till we get to the end of row 3. You skip 2 stitches of the next shell, skip, and you'll be in the single crochet of that shell. Go right into it and work another shell. So we single, half double, and double. Now I'm going to repeat this pattern until I get to the end of the row. Skip 2, and in that single crochet from the previous row, we work a shell. Just like that. So I'm going to keep repeating this until I get to the end of my row. All right, I'm coming to the end of row 3. I just did a shell right there into that single crochet of this shell. I have one shell left here. I'm going to skip 2 stitches of the shell into the very last, into the chain 2 space at the end of the row, not the single crochet, the chain 2 space. We are going to work a single crochet into the top of that chain 2 space, just like that. And you should still have 38 shells. So that is the repeat now. We're just going to keep repeating row 3. So for row 4, I'm going to repeat what I did on row 3. So I'm going to chain 2 and turn my work. And into this very first stitch, that single crochet right there, I'm going to work a shell. So I'm going to single crochet. I'm going to half double crochet. And then I'm going to double crochet. So that's my shell. And then skip the first 2 stitches of the next shell, and in that single crochet of that shell we do another shell. So we single, half double, and double. So I'm just repeating what I did on the previous row. Skip the 2 stitches of the next shell, and in this single crochet here we do another shell, single, half double, and double. Now I'm going to repeat this pattern until I get to the end of the row, skipping 2 and doing a shell into the single crochet of the shell from the previous row. So I'm repeating what I did on row 3. All right, and remember, this is how we end every row now. We have a shell here. Instead of working into the single crochet of the shell, we're going to end each row by single crocheting into the top of that chain 2 from the previous row, or the best that you can, if you can find it, right there on the end, just like that. And again, you should have 38 shells. So that's it. We're just going to keep repeating row 3. It's very easy. You should always have 38 shells at the end of every row if you're following my pattern. If you made it bigger, of course you'll have more. But you want to continue that until you get your blanket as long as you want it to be. Now I did a total of 100 rows, and that is counting that very first row of single crochet. So if you count that row as number 1, I did a total of 100 rows. But remember, you can make yours as big or as small as you want. It's very versatile, so you can make it to your likings. But that's it. Once you finish, once I got to my 100th row, I just tied off and I hid my tail. Now, if you feel like it needs some type of edging, a simple crochet border would be nice, or, you know, any type of fancy border if you want. It's really up to you. I chose to leave mine plain and nice, and just to make it simple. I think the stitch itself was simple, yet showed enough texture that it really didn't need much of a border, so I left it the way it is. But please feel free to put a border on it if you choose. But that's it. I hope you enjoyed my tutorial. Remember, it's a nice, quick, easy project, especially if you got a baby shower coming up or new baby due that you want to make something for. Super cute blanket, super easy to make. So like I said, I hope you enjoyed my tutorial. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed, and also don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my tutorials, any of my giveaways, any of my unboxings, anything to do with yarn and crochet. If you love it, you'll find it on my channel, because I love yarn and crochet too. I'm going to put a playlist right over on the right hand side of the corner there. You can probably see it right now, of all my other baby blankets, so you can take a quick peek at that. Maybe you'll find another blanket that you like and want to make. So until next time, have a good day. Hi everybody, this is Crystal. So today I'm going to show you how to make this baby blanket right here. Move my camera over. Now it is made with the puff shell stitch. Advanced beginner. I know you can do it. It's pretty much just single and double crochet. It's actually really quite easy. It's very, very pretty the way it turns out, I think. Both sides are identical, so they both look the same. I actually ran out of yarn, so I decided to leave, put no border on it, but you can definitely put a border on it if you like. Simple single crochet border or shell border, you know, whatever you would want to, or you can leave it plain like me. I think it turned out nice. Now the size of mine is approximately 30 inches wide by 32 tall, and of course I will give you the multiple so you can make yours bigger or smaller if you like. Ain't that pretty? That is such a pretty pattern. Let's go ahead and get started on this. Want to? Alright, first off, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed to me yet. You don't want to miss out on any of my tutorials. I have lots of crochet tutorials, lots of yarn hauls, lots of yarn reviews, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos on my channel. And if you like this blanket, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. I appreciate that too. So for this project, I used Caron Big Cakes. Now, the Big Cakes are a medium weight number 4, 100% acrylic yarn. Now, you do not have to use this. Any medium weight number 4 will work. There are 603 yards per cake, and I went through all of 2 cakes. So there was like a yard, not even a yard left. So if you want to make it, you're going to need 1,200 yards. To make it my size, maybe a few yards more. If you want to make it bigger, of course you're going to need another cake. Now this is not the color that I used. This color is called Honey Glaze, but the color that I used was called let me look, Mint Fudge. And I couldn't find it anywhere to get it again, so I couldn't make my blanket any bigger than what it was. And then I'm going to be using a size J, which is a 6mm crochet hook. Okay, this stitch is done in a multiple of 6 plus 2, which means your beginning chain needs to be a multiple of 6, divisible by 6, and then you add 2 more to your base chain. So if you want to start out and you want to make it the same size as me, I started with a chain of 116 stitches. I'm going to show you on a smaller scale. Now, once you get your chain of 116 done, what we're going to do is we are going to do 1 single crochet in the second stitch from the hook. So we don't count the one that's on our hook. There's 1 and there's 2. So the second stitch we're going to put a single crochet. Now we will start the repeat of row 1. We are going to skip 2 stitches, skip, skip, and we're going to put a shell into the next stitch. Now a shell in this pattern is 7 double crochets into the same stitch. So we're going to skip our 2, and then the next one we will put a shell, which is 7 doubles all into the same stitch. Like that, and then we are going to skip 2 again. So skip, skip, and then we're going to single crochet into the next, and that is the repeat. So again, we will skip 2, skip, skip, and then in the next stitch we're going to do a shell, which is 7 double crochets all into the same stitch. And then again, we are going to skip 2 stitches, skip, skip, and single into the next. And then we'll repeat it again, and we'll just keep repeating that until we get to the end of the row. So we're going to skip 2, shell, skip 2, single, skip 2, shell, skip 2, single, all the way until we get to the end of our row. Alright, once you make it to the end here, I just did a shell. You should be able to do a complete repeat at the end. So I did a shell. I have 3 stitches left. It's kind of tight there, but 1, 2, skip those, and single crochet into your last stitch. Now following along with me, you should have a total of 19 shells. Now we're going to start row 2. So rows 2 and 3 are the repeat rows for the whole pattern. So we're going to start row 2 by chaining 1 and turning our work. Now that chain 1 does not count as a stitch, it's just a turning chain. So from here on out, we are going to be working the shells in the back loops only, okay? So we're going to start off by putting 3 double crochets into this very first stitch. Now that 3 double crochets is counting as a half of a shell. So since it's a shell, we're going to work in the back loop only. So you can see that this stitch has 2 loops. The one closest to you is the front loop, and the one furthest away is the back loop. We want to go in the back loop only and work 3 double crochets. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Now we are going to skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and in the next one we are going to do a single crochet, but it's going through both loops. Only the shells are worked in back loops. And if you look, if you skip 3, the next one is going to be the middle stitch of this shell. So we're going to go ahead and skip our 3, 1, 2, 3. The next one, which is the middle of the shell, go through both loops and a single crochet like that. Now we're going to start the repeat for row 2. So we're going to skip 3 again, 1, 2, 3, and if you look down here, that brings us to this single crochet. We are going to work a shell in the back loop of that single crochet. So in the back loop only, so you twist it a little bit right there, that back loop of that single crochet, we're going to work 7 double crochets because that's our shell. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and there's 7. Again, we are going to skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and in the next one, which is actually the middle of the shell, we're going to single crochet through both loops. And that's the repeat for row 2. Again, we are going to skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and in the next one is the single crochet down here. In the back loop only, we're going to work a shell. So 7 double crochets. And I know working in one loop kind of stretches that out. I kind of like hold it when I do it so it doesn't stretch out as much. It still does stretch, but if I hold it down here and pinch it with my thumb and my finger back here, it doesn't stretch out quite as much. Again, we're going to skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, the next one, which is the middle of our shell, single crochet through both loops. And that's the repeat now for row 2. We will skip 3 stitches again, 1, 2, 3, and in the next one is our single crochet, 7 double crochets in the back loop of that single crochet. And I'm going to repeat this pattern all the way until I get to the end of row 2. That. So keep repeating until you get to your last 4 stitches of row 2. Okay, once you make it to your last 4 stitches here, you want to skip 3, and in the last stitch, the back loop only, we're going to work 3 double crochets. That'll be a half of a shell in that back loop only. And that's how we'll end row 2. So at the end of row 2, you should have 18 full shells and then 2 half shells, 1 on each end. And by putting 7 double crochets as the shell, that's what makes it poof up so big like that. It kind of just crams it together and it makes it really 3D looking. I like it. So now we are going to start row 3. We are going to chain 1 and turn our work. Now that chain 1 does not count as a stitch. We are going to single crochet through both loops of the very first stitch. That. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to skip these next 2 stitches, 1, 2, and the next stitch right here will be a single crochet. We are going to go and shell into that single crochet, but in the back loop only. Remember, every time we do a shell, it's always in the back loop. So 7 double crochets in that back loop. Like that. Now we're going to skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3. In the next stitch we're going to single crochet, which is the middle stitch of that shell, through both loops. And then we're going to skip 3 stitches again, skip, 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 and now we're going to be at the single crochet. Oops, and we're going to do a shell back loop only. So 7 double crochets into that single crochet from the previous row. Back loop only. And then we're going to repeat it. We are going to skip 3 stitches, skip, skip, skip. The next stitch is the middle of the shell, single crochet through both loops. Skip 3 stitches, skip, 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 and then we're down here at the single crochet. We're going to shell into the back loop of that single crochet. So 7 double crochets. And we're just going to repeat this. Skip 3, 1, 2, 3, and then the next one, single crochet in both loops. Skip 3 again, skip, 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 single crochet down here. We're going to shell into the back loop of that single crochet. So go ahead and repeat this pattern until you get to the end of row 3. Okay, I've made it to my last 3 stitches. I just did a shell. I have 3 stitches left. I'm going to skip 2 and I'm going to single crochet into my last stitch. And now you'll have 19 shells again. So now it's just a repeat of rows 2 and 3. And both sides will look the same pretty much, especially once you get going on it. You just keep repeating that 2 and 3 until you get to the length that you want it to be. So right now on row, I'll be starting row 4, and I would just repeat row 2, and that's where I chained 1, and I did my half shell here. So I did 3 doubles in the back loop of that very first stitch. And then I skipped my 3 and single crocheted into the next, skipped my 3 and shelled down here in the back loop of that single crochet from the previous row. So just 2 and 3 back and forth until you get it the length you want it to be. And I did a total of 63 rows. Like I said, that was an entire 2 cakes. I just had like a little bit left. I couldn't go any further. And that's what it looks like at the end. Remember, you can do yours bigger if you want, you know, by adjusting the beginning chain, doing more rows, however you like. But I think it turned out super cool. See how both sides do look the same. I love it. I love that stitch. It's so 3D looking. Very nice. It doesn't just have to be for baby. You can make a big blanket out of this. It'd look really pretty on a bed. But that's it. That's all you have to do. I hope you enjoyed my tutorial. Wasn't that easy? I know you can do it. And that's it. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Give this video a thumbs up. And until next time, have a good day. Bye-bye.